Hello, 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 everybody. Good morning and good evening to those that are not in the morning. How is everyone doing today? Let me get some stuff ready. So, last time we left off without being able to finish our discussion of education. Now, we are going to still talk about that today, but we've had some interesting news break since last night. Oh, hello, Justin. Welcome to the chat. So, we've had some interesting news break last night. Funny enough, after I spoke about Kathy Hochul's aide and was talking about how I believe it's incredibly likely that there are many, many politicians, political staffers, media pundits, other YouTubers, live streamers that are likely working for foreign countries, with even whether they know it or not, to influence U.S. public opinion. I said then that there are almost certainly tons more, and the next day dropped this little bit of information. So let's start off with social media influencing and have a look at what CNN has to say before we go into the Twitter thread that most of you have probably seen and break it down. But let's start with this.
The U.S. government is trying to peel back more layers of what.
Oh, whoops, hold on. I have I forgot to set the sound to the right thing. Second, put my headphones in. There we go.
Today, the U.S. government is trying to peel back more layers of what officials say are massive and complex efforts underway to influence your vote in the upcoming election. One part of these alleged plots, replacing your average 2016 Russian social media bots with actual conservative Americans, right-wing influencers with a combined...
Hold on, I just want to check to see if this is working. Yes, okay, lovely. Sound is working. I've gotten into the habit of needing to do a sound check because of how much OBS hates me. But yes, so Russian media bots and social media influencers.
With actual conservative Americans, right-wing influencers with a combined millions of followers, influencers.
Now, anyone who's ever watched any of Tim Pool, this is not surprising at all. Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, also not all that surprising. But Tim Pool is quite a funny situation for this. We'll go deeper into this after
Promoted
the
by
video.
Elon Musk, some visited by Republican politicians, such as former President Trump. People who attack anyone pushing for aid to Ukraine, seeking to discredit traditional news organizations. Attorney General Merrick Garland said that these individuals are working for a company that is funded.
Now, remember just a couple streams ago, we went over the report that Russia was planning to spend a lot of money, specifically on down ballot candidates during the election that would be anti-Ukraine. Obviously, this goes into that strategy, but there's many, many, many layers of this. And again, it's not just Russia.
With millions of dollars from the Kremlin. And in some cases, these individuals have raked in hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. And while some are calling these influencers dupes or useful idiots, they claim they did not know about the origin of this money and that they are in fact victims.
All right.
All of this
just on that point alone, some of them may not have known, but really I have a hard time believing that. We'll get to it when we get to it. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm too excited to talk about this.
The Justice Department said on Wednesday that Russia has funneled nearly $10 million into a front company based in Tennessee with the express purpose of interfering in the U.S. presidential election. Prosecutors think that Russian leader Vladimir Putin's fingerprints are all over this conspiracy. In response, the U.S. charged 2 specific Russian nationals, sanctioned 10 additional people, and seized dozens of internet domains. CNN's Donnie O'Sullivan is all over this.
So, I gotta say, I'm very much a fan of this new push by the U.S. government to clean up the corruption, at least the foreign country corruption. We still have plenty of our own, but very much in favor of all of these indictments. I mean, we have several now, not just from Russia, but we have some from China. There was a raid today on the aide to, what was his name? The New York City mayor's aide. I have it here, just a second. Eric Adams. Eric Adams' aide. And we know Eric Adams was taking money from Turkey in 2021. And we don't know specifically exactly why the FBI raided his aide's house yet, but I mean, it adds up pretty well.
Tony, who are the right-wing influencers and what kind of content are they pushing out?
Hey, Jake. Yeah, I think if we bring up that full screen again, of three of them there, you can see a lot of folks will never have heard of these people: Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin. But you can see between them, just on YouTube alone, they have about 7 million subscribers.
Just a reminder, as I'm pretty sure, I haven't watched this CNN video. I think we're gonna skip it in about a minute. I don't want to hear the whole thing at the moment. We can probably come back and look at the pundits, but I do want to get through this quickly because we have a lot about education to talk about. But, sorry, didn't realize I had this on the screen. If you don't know any of these people, good for you. You're probably lucky and your brain's probably a little bit less rotted than those who do. But specifically for Tim Pool, just a reminder that he has platformed Nazis on multiple occasions. Nick Fuentes, Milo Yiannopoulos, Kanye. He tries to appear constantly as if he is a centrist on his show, Timcast. However, he has very, very clearly been a right-wing grifter for a very long time, and really just all he cares about is making money. He'll say pretty much anything.
They're the right-wing superstars, the far-right social media stars, where a lot of Americans are getting their news, their political opinions,
unfortunately,
and their misinformation from people like this. Look, these are all guys and the other folks who were allegedly duped into working for this alleged Russian disinformation.
A question here.
Yeah, and so Tenet Media was basically a front organization. What the DOJ alleges is that Russian operatives co-opted some people here in the U.S.
So, okay, we're gonna skip CNN because you're boring me. But Tenet Media was a front organization. It was owned by Founder One. Sorry, not Founder One. Owned by a Canadian company. I said Founder One because it says it in here. It was owned by a Canadian company who was run by Lauren Chen and Liam Donovan. Now, Lauren Chen, for those who don't know, just a quick look at her Wikipedia page. She is a right-wing influencer. Oh my god. It instantly brings you to Tenet Media, because obviously this is the discussion at the moment. Why is it not going straight to Wikipedia? No, not talk. I want actual Lauren Chen. Maybe her Wikipedia page got taken down. I saw this like not even 5 minutes ago. Whatever. Regardless, she is not only a right-wing grifter, but also part of TPUSA, which is a very fashy organization to say the least, and is either owns or works with Blaze TV, which is another right-wing media organization. So these people are all very concentrated on the right. Now, Tenet Media is a Tennessee-based company that was owned by this Canadian company, which was contracted to work with RT, Russian television. And so we can start off with the actual indictment. Now, this is a great thread by Eric Troller. This is who I've been seeing many of the other content creators on YouTube also look into. Now, this all happened while I was asleep, so I've had maybe an hour or two to catch up this morning on it. So I'm going to be learning some of this as we go along with you guys. But so U.S. Company One is a United States corporation established under the laws of Tennessee. This would be Tenet Media. Founder One has described U.S. Company One as the U.S. subsidiary of Founder One's Canadian company. Founder One being Lauren Chen. Canadian Company One, as set forth from in or about March 2021 to about February 2022, Founder One used Canadian Company One to produce content for RT pursuant to a written contract. Now, hold on. This is, I had the name of the actual Chinese company, not the Chinese company, the Canadian company as well somewhere in here. Hold on. We'll just keep reading. The moment it'll come up. When it comes up, actually, this is going to bother me if I don't have the, whatever. Now, yes, so they worked with RT's parent organization, Ano TV Novosti. The content generally consisted of English language social commentary. RT directly published some of Founder One's paid work, while Founder One posted other of Founder One's paid work on Founder One's personal accounts without attribution to RT. Now, again, Founder One is Lauren Chen. We can see this based on evidence of the actual company information somewhere in this thread. I don't know why it's not all the way. Oh, here's the Canadian entity. Yes. Liam Donovan, Lauren Yusum Tam, who is actually Lauren Chen. This is Roaming Alliance Corporation, Roaming Millennial Incorporated. Roaming Millennial is Lauren Chen's actual social media handle. Roaming Nomad, Pizzeria, etc., etc. So Roaming is what I'm going to refer to the Canadian company as from now on. So Roaming billed Ano TV Novosti for approximately 217 videos, which 209 were published on Founder One's personal YouTube channel. The U.S. company established under the laws of Tennessee. Okay. Yes. Here we go. Founder One Incorporated, U.S. Company One, on or about January 19th of 2022, and applied with the Tennessee Department of State to transact business under its current operating name, which Company One, Tenet Media, uses on its website and social media channels on or about May 22nd, 2023. On its website, Tenet Media described itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues, and identified 6 commentators, including commentators 1 and 2, which we do know the names of. We can decipher who each commentator is based on the numbers they give later. I'll say their names when we get to it, because I don't want to claim it too early. U.S. Company One, so Tenet Media, regularly posts videos featuring these commentators, as well as other videos that do not feature the commentators. And here we get the indictment specifies that 2 people who work for Tennessee company Tenet were deceived, meaning that they didn't know that the Russian media was running an influence op. Now, this is Dave Rubin and Tim Pool who are claiming they were deceived. Now, we know that commentator 1, here we go, Kalishnikov, Afansyeva, Founder 1 and Founder 2 also worked together to deceive 2 U.S. online commentators, Commentator 1 and 2, who respectively have over 2.4 million and 1.3 million YouTube subscribers. Now, we know that Dave Rubin would be Commentator 1, as he's the one named in the indictment that has the closest number of subscriber count to that, and Tim Pool would be number 2, also named in the indictment, and also has the closest to that subscriber count. Founder 1 and 2 contracted with Commentator 1 and 2 to produce videos using Commentator 1 and 2's own names, leveraging their existing audiences for license and publication by U.S. Company 1. Therefore, Tim Pool and Dave Rubin worked with Tenet Media, licensed their publications to Tenet Media, and Kalishnikov, Afansyeva, Founder 1 and 2 worked together to mask U.S. Company 1's true source of funding, i.e. RT, by falsely portraying Commentator 1 and 2 that Commentator 1 and 2 that the U.S. company was sponsored by a private investor named Edward Gregorian. This person never existed. There is no Edward Gregorian. Now, before we continue on with this thread, I just want to, this is the clip that a lot of people have been showing. Just, Tim Pool suggests that he was unaware of the Russian influence, the Russian funding of this company that he was working with, right? However, posting content like this on his own channel, Timcast, which is not owned by Tenet Media, while being paid by Russians, seems a little sus. Let's have a look.
But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine.
I mean, this is psychotic on its own, but it's very clear that he's probably getting paid to say these things. Now, I don't know for a fact. It is alleged. However, I mean,
They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline.
this is just
trigger
America
this-
bad, Russia good talking points. I mean, it's not all that surprising. Now, it's another thing when we suggest that Tim Pool and co are useful idiots, quite another when the DOJ alleges it in an indictment. The traitors are easy to spot. Trump operatives say Project 2025 plans to give Trump total control, unchecked legal power, blah, blah, blah. This is the kind of thing Tim Pool puts on his program.
Be in jail, no question. Should Democrats be in jail? No question. When Donald Trump gets elected, should he start locking them up? No question. Should there be lists of Democrats that need to go to jail? 100%. And the reason for that is they've committed crimes. We need to make sure that when Donald Trump wins, we've got an attorney general, a deputy attorney general, a head of the CIA and the FBI. Kash Patel would be fantastic. We can have attorney general. There's some names floating around. And then they can start having their investigators and the feds issuing subpoenas, pulling up evidence, and with real evidence, bring them to judges for warrants. Then these people can spend three years of their lives fighting tooth and nail for the crime against the government for crimes they committed, and we can prove. Yeah. And the reason why we put them on trial is that we can show the whole world we will uncover what you've done. We will make sure everyone knows, and you will be held accountable for it.
Not just jail,
I wonder if he
I
wonder if he wants this to apply to him. You know, he has committed crimes. The government, with evidence, has alleged that he has. Are you still on board with this, Tim? Now, but let's see this next part as well. I forgot about this ending.
get the death penalty. You know, we actually used to have the punishment for treason in this country.
I guess it cuts off there.
Should
Death penalty for treason, Tim? I mean, I don't know. I feel like working for a foreign nation who is objectively our enemy at the moment, Russia, might be a little bit treasonous, don't you think? Benny Johnson also has 2.4 million, but they apparently rounded down from 1.37 to 1.3 with Tim. So figure Rubin's 2.4 was the fact that he is commentator 1. On about February 15, 2024, Afansieva, as, quote, Helena Shudra, shared with Tenet Media, U.S. Company One, a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia. Afansieva posted the video in the producer Discord channel. Later that day, producer One privately messaged founder 2 on Discord, saying, quote, they want me to post this, referencing the video that Afansieva had posted, but it, quote, just feels like overt shilling. Founder 2 replied that Founder 1 thinks we should put it out there, and Founder 1 acquiesced, responding, all right, I'll put it out tomorrow. Now, the video that they're referencing is obviously Tucker Carlson when he went to Russia to glaze the Russian government and went into a supermarket and said some really dumb shit. Let's have a look.
Feature, maybe the longest standing feature of Cold War propaganda in the West, was the Soviet grocery store. No products, no choices, shoddily made things. And it wasn't actually propaganda, it was real. And you can look up the pictures on the internet if you want. So we thought it would be interesting to take a look at a contemporary, modern day, 2024 Russian grocery store.
Just for some context, prior to doing this, he went and interviewed Putin for an hour, which was an entire waste of time. Putin laughed at him. I think made reference to the fact that Tucker Carlson tried to join the CIA and failed. And I think Putin said something along the lines of, it's okay. You don't have to be good enough for the CIA. And then went and talked about, 500-year-old history regarding Ukraine to, fill some time. Obviously, they don't respect Tucker Carlson. They don't respect any of us, really. The people that they are paying to put out their message are their puppets. They're not their equals. Obviously, Russia does not consider people like Tim Pool or people like Tucker Carlson as their equals. They pay them. They're employees. Well, actually, I don't know if they pay Tucker Carlson exactly. He wasn't alleged in this specific indictment as someone working with Tenet Media. However, I mean, come on. The right wing is consumed by the grift, and Russia is one of the world's leading sources of right-wing, ethno-nationalist, white supremacist, Nazi propaganda, and are one of the main creators of the bot networks that consistently push out this sort of information online. So it wouldn't be surprising to me.
For 2 years into sanctions. Here we go.
Again, this is old. We've seen a lot of this. I think we can skip some of it, but...
Which is one thing I can assess pretty well. The low-carb lifestyle has not swept Russia. Thank heaven, because I mean, look at that.
Just walking through a grocery store.
Cheese puffs. You check out of a grocery store and you've got gum.
How embarrassing is this? This man was like the Fox News anchor that everyone in the country that was, you know, watches Fox News listened to before he lost his job for overtly lying. And now he makes little videos like this where he goes to supermarkets in Russia and pretends that everything's great. Now, this is a good point that he makes here, actually. There is a lot of candy in this store that's actually sanctioned. There's many things that pop up in this grocery store, in fact, that are sanctioned goods that somehow have made their way to being sold in Russia, like Snickers and Twix, Gillette, for example, Mars bars. These are all sanctioned. Milky Way. None of these should technically be in Russia. And then he finishes this off by pretending that Russian grocery stores are affordable, not accounting for the fact that he has United States money and the exchange rate is what makes it affordable for him, and that it is not affordable for the average Russian. But yes, so this is referencing specifically Tucker Carlson. Some more legwork on this thread on identifying other unnamed and very likely masked commentators. Commentator 6 for sure is Matt Christensen in this video referenced in this paragraph. On or about November 1st, 2023, one of the 6 commentators listed on the website Commentator 6 posted a video on YouTube announcing the launch of US Company 1. In the video, Commentator 6 explained that Tenet Media was a project of Founder 1 and 2. We're trying to build a new platform of independent media, which would be Find Me on Tenet Media, Monday, November 6th. So this is Matt Christensen, another Russian asset at this point. One of the indicted RT employees used the handle Novichok, Hobu4OK, when rendered into Latinized Russian. It is the name of a chemical weapon and also means novice. It seems like he was using this username before the Skripal poisonings. The DOJ today indicted employee Konstantin Kalashnikov for organizing illicit dissemination of fake news aiming to poison the domestic U.S. election debate. Aptly, his Facebook profile is named Novichok, which is, again, a poison. RT, formerly known as Russian Today, is a state-controlled media outlet funded directly by the government of Russia. And yes, so this would be Konstantin Kalashnikov. Now, much of the money that went to Rubin and Pool, according to indictment, Rubin received $400,000 per month for 16 videos, plus a performance bonus of $100,000 and a signing bonus. A performance bonus and a $100,000 signing bonus. All for a series in which Rubin commented on dumb internet clips that often received roughly about 1,000 views per episode. Geez. Tenet also proved lucrative for Pool, who made $100,000 per episode for a weekly show that he hosted. According to prosecutors, the same month that Tenet launched, Pool purchased a skate park in Martinsburg, West Virginia, as well as significant real estate. Now, Tim Pool actually seems to have gotten the better deal of this, as he got to make his content on Timcast, his own show. So it's not owned by Tenet Media, yet he still got paid $100,000 per episode. It's obscene. obviously for that kind of money, you're going to be doing someone a favor. No one's giving you $100,000 an episode to just because they want to. And for Dave Rubin, no one's giving you $400,000 for 16 clips of you talking about internet memes without there being a reason for it. Yep, so we got there already. Now, again, I just genuinely do not believe that Tim Pool did not know what he was doing and that they were being paid by the Russian government. But who knows? Maybe. They paid $10 million in total by Russia to spread disinformation, rally support for convicted felon. Obviously, Russia wants Donald Trump to win. Trump will just let them take Ukraine. Now, I said this last stream, and I'm going to say this again. It's not just Russia. The amount of countries that are probably... The amount of political commentators, politicians, their staffers, that work for other countries covertly is much higher than we know. Think about who would want to influence our elections. We have Russia, we have China, we have Israel, who we already know is, trying very hard to influence public opinion in the United States. We just don't care about them for, I was going to say for some reason, but I know why we don't care about Israel influencing us. Well, not we, but, the government. There's Turkey, there's Iran, there's many, many countries that are likely paying content creators to say things that they want said. There's many a fascist nation out there that could benefit from some positive PR from the United States. Now, beyond that, give me a second. This is the official statement from Tim Pool regarding the indictment and what he thinks. Just one moment here. My statement regarding allegations and the leaked DOJ indictment. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement. The only change with the agreement was that the location of the live broadcast was moved to Tenet's YouTube channel. Never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control. The contents of the show are often apolitical, blah, 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 including discussing spirituality, dating, and video games, as if those don't also fall into politics. Come on, Tim. Like, everything is politics. All of these things are political. But whatever. TCW is a separate company not associated with timcast.com or other properties, blah, 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 blah. Putin is a scumbag, Russia sucks donkey balls, and to the journalists who wish to jump the gun and create their own narrative or lie about what's currently going on, you can eat my Irish ass. Now, look, this needs to be investigated properly. I have my opinion, but I cannot state for a fact that Tim Pool is a Russian agent. Knowingly, at the very least. We know that he was a Russian agent. Whether he did it knowingly or not is different. I need evidence to prove him innocent. Because there's plenty of evidence for a very long time that has hinted towards that narrative. And again, these are known grifters, okay? Like, this isn't just a standard New York Times journalist that we're talking about that has not had a history of, I mean, to be fair, I'm making that reference, but goddamn, they're corrupt too. All of these people are corrupt. There is nobody honest that is talking about the news. None of these big commentators, especially on the right, are ever honest. On the left, at least, we have some honest. We have our fair share of grifters. We have quite a lot. But a lot of the grifters that were on the left kind of shifted right anyway, so this is Benny Johnson's statement. A year ago, a media startup pitched my company to provide content as an independent contractor. Our lawyers negotiated a standard arm's-length deal, which was later terminated. We are disturbed by the allegations, blah, 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 denial, denial, denial. Here's all the times Tim has called for civil war. That's unsurprising. Also unrelated, though. This is not a stream about how much of a shitty person Tim Pool is, even though I would like to do that. Now, how many times did Elon Musk promote just one of these Kremlin agents? Because Elon Musk probably also has some ties to the Russian government. It would not surprise me. He's the world's richest man. He's a right-wing, grifter as well. He seems like the type of person that Russia would reach out to. But, you can see here Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Matt Gaetz, which, unrelated-ish, I guess. But obviously, Elon Musk is pretty fucking stupid, so it wouldn't surprise me if he was just interacting with these grifters because he actually believes them, because he is that dumb. But don't underestimate how much the right wing hates you, and don't underestimate how much how out of their way they will go to deceive you and to lie to you because they're doing illegal things and they want them hidden. Now, is what Elon Musk doing at this current point in time illegal? I don't know. It could be, though. It really, really could be. And that's the issue, is we have so much corruption, and yet we don't really have a system in place of dealing with this corruption. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually quite happy to see these recent efforts by the US government to crack down on several individuals that are suspected of being foreign agents. Now, this is Eric Adams, and this is from 2023. This is old news, but today his AIDS home was raided, and for context for that, let's have just a little bit of a look at this. So, Eric Adams was he's the mayor of New York City, or was at the time, I believe. I don't know if he's still the mayor of New York City. I think he still is the mayor of New York City. It's been a while since I've been to New York. Yeah, okay, he is the mayor. Turkey has been an endless source of fascination since he was 24, blah, 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 blah. Okay. The FBI Manhattan prosecutors probed whether a Brooklyn construction company with suspected ties to the Turkish government used straw donors to help Adams successfully fund his city hall run in 2021. He has time to time boasted about his ties to Turkey. When he was Brooklyn Borough President, he made 2 sponsored visits to the country, one of which was paid for by entities including the Turkish consulate. It seems reasonable to ask if construction companies in question sought Adams's help with a variety of building projects that group associated with the Turkish government around the city. One of these was the actual Turkish consulate, which was being renovated at the time and may have had to shut down. It wasn't... I can't remember the details exactly, but there was definitely some issues with... it was either the fire department or just general construction that were claiming that the consulate building was unsafe and could not be used for the purposes they needed to leave. And so that kind of went away with Eric Adams, which doesn't... It's not a surprise when there's this much connection to a foreign company and money a foreign country and money involved. There's Robert Menendez that happened. Obviously there. Michael Flynn was a Russian agent. There's plenty of evidence of American politicians, as well as everyone else, working for foreign countries, and we just don't... Like, this was on... He's still the mayor of New York City. Now, did they 100% prove this? I don't know, probably not, but that's because he's friends with he was the former police commissioner, or sorry, police chief. Like... In 2005, a report found that 159 lawmakers and staffers had privately sponsored trips from the Turkish government that Erdogan's allies controlled at the time. 159 lawmakers. This was in 2023 on Politico. Do you remember big news like that? Do you remember 159 lawmakers being put in jail? Because that would have made the news. That would have been carved into our memory. No, they haven't. Most of these political scandals involving Turkey are the fault of American politicians who bring disrepute to themselves and their offices, but there is something else going on here. For their experience dealing with U.S. political system, Turkish leaders seems to believe that the way politics works in the United States is not all that different from the way that it works in Turkey. Sometimes they're right about that, or at least that a few politicians play by their own rules. They really do think that they can just buy us, and it's not just Turkey. So today, the FBI raided the home of Mayor Eric Adams' aide. Multiple outlets reported. Federal agents raided 2 homes owned by Winnie Greco, Adams' director of Asian Affairs. The raid, first reported by Channel 12 in the Bronx, is a part of an investigation conducted by the U.S. Attorney General's office in Brooklyn. It's unclear if it's connected to Adams, which is the subject of a separate inquiry. The search of the property came months after Adams' associated homes were searched, part of a federal corruption probe centered on the mayor's 2021 election campaign, which allegedly conspired with the Turkish government. Now, yes, they are still investigating. It's been years. It's 2021. I don't know. I haven't heard an indictment be put on him yet. There's plenty of evidence of this. I remember reading the articles back when this was occurring of how the actual donations were working, where I think politicians are only in the field for profit at this point. I don't know if it has ever been better, but right now it's obvious how rotten the government has become. Well, I've talked about this before. Money in politics is the greatest issue of our generation. And yes, a lot of politicians that are in government, especially in the United States, are there for profit. Almost all of them. And the way to fix that is A, get bribery out of politics, make it so corporations can no longer spend millions of dollars on super PACs to fund political campaigns. And beyond that, we need to change the system from the bottom up. It's never going to change from the top down. People like you, people like me need to enter politics. We need to start with local seats, local councils, and fix problems on a small scale. Get your friends to come in with you, and then work your way up. That's the only way change will ever actually, meaningful positive change that is lasting. That is the only way that it will ever occur, is from the bottom up, not from the top down. And as many people as you can, think about it, right? How many people do you think in your town hate your town's council? How many doors do you think you would need to knock on and just talk about, I don't know, some potholes in the road or shit, just very, very small local politics stuff to get elected to this? No one likes their, local boards. It's easy. Get into the Democratic Party. Go run for, your state elections. The down ballot elections, in fact, are way, way more important than the presidential election. Most of the red states that are passing incredibly laws that are limiting bodily autonomy, laws that are attacking people's rights, attacking women, attacking queer people. These are down ballots. These are not, yes, there's the governor and the representatives and their senators, and of course those are important too. But the further you go down, the less people pay attention, and the more important it becomes to actually pay attention, because this is where they're passing those small laws that are not sweeping regulations that instantly affect everybody, but they're the foundation for the larger laws that are, in the wings, the things that Project 2025 wants to do. The Republican agenda is built on the foundation of these smaller local councils, these state legislatures, and what they pass. And that's why it's so important. But yes, you're right. Don't trust any of these politicians. They're all in it for the money. We should be probing many, many more of them, not only for money that they're receiving from other countries, but from our own country, from corporations are just allowed to do this. And that's, I don't understand how we haven't come to the conclusion of, oh, holy shit, everything is fucked and this is exactly why as a country yet. Now, this is unrelated to the foreign agent stuff, but I did see this today. And holy shit, is this horrible. I don't actually know what to say about this aside from might be one of the worst people I've ever heard speak.
Gave me a button to just erase Gaza. Every single living being in Gaza would no longer be living tomorrow. I would press it in a second. That's just, I think, I think.
I don't know. I mean, this is a level of Hitlerite that is unmatched by anybody in the world right now. It's yeah, and that's not even just it. There's more too.
Most Israelis
If
probably
that's the
agree.
choice.
Yeah, he said most Israelis would agree with
No
this.
longer be living tomorrow. I would press it in a second. That's just, I think. I think most Israelis
If
probably
that's
agree.
the choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look.
No, even if it's not like right now,
Yeah, no.
I would press it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and same with the territories.
I would press it right now.
Same with the territories.
No
That means
no-
the West
yeah,
Bank.
someone is safe
Just
at
so you
home,
know.
God willing.
Yeah, he doubles down too. It gets even worse. These are horrible people.
It right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and same with the territories.
I would press it right now.
Mm-hmm.
No choice. No, Sharon is safe at home. God willing. I don't know. I haven't spoken to her in like an hour.
I think that's his wife. Like his wife might be in Gaza, and he's like, I'd still press it.
No, I'm saying for the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would press it right now. Give me that button and press it right now.
there you go.
And I think most Israelis would.
Yeah, most Jewish
They wouldn't.
Israelis.
They wouldn't post. They wouldn't talk about it like that.
Most Jewish Israelis. I don't even think that that's true. I think a lot of them would, but not. I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive. I hope not. But much of Israel is fucking psychotic. I mean, they all have to join the IDF at some point in their lives, and that tends to make them a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't post. They wouldn't say I pressed it,
Yeah,
but they would.
they
press
don't
it.
have balls of steel like you.
They would, but they would press it. You're right.
This is pretty much propaganda. No, this isn't even propaganda. This is just them speaking their mind. This is propaganda is meant to convince you of something. This isn't convincing me of anything other than this man is a Jewish Hitler. He wants genocide. Both of them do. They even said the territories. It's not just Gaza. They want every single Palestinian dead. And there's no question about that because that is what they just said. It's not propaganda because they're not trying to make you believe anything. They're just, fuck them. I mean, look, it is weird, and I understand that, but I've gone over this on in other videos of the incredible, like, mind-boggling similarities that Israel has to Nazi Germany. I mean, they have camps where they keep the Palestinians. We've seen abuse at these camps, torture, rape. I remember a couple streams ago we talked about something called the disco room that they have in the Sidi Timan camp, where they just blast music at you while you're naked and cold and sitting on the floor in a tiny little room as just torture. They're not even trying to extract information from these people half the time, which, obviously torture doesn't work to extract information. There was an instance where 3 Israeli soldiers were arrested because they were using a baton to rape a Palestinian prisoner. And then the Israeli people revolted and rioted not because of the abuse of the Palestinians, but because these soldiers were arrested. Let me pull this up on stream. There is a video of one of Israel's ministers saying anything that you do to a Palestinian is hold on. Just give me one moment. Let me find this. It's in my sources, so it shouldn't take me very long. Here we go. I mean, like I said, calling them Hitlerite is weird, but then they do things like this.
אני לא יודע אם יודעים, אבל יש אירוע כרגע בשדה תימן שמשטרה צבאית הגיעו לעצור חיילים ששמרו על
Nukba is it's a slur for Palestinians.
מחבלי נוח'בה. והחיילים בשדה תימן, מתקן מעצר של מחבלי נוח'בה, ומשטרה צבאית שם הגיעה לעצור כמה לוחמים שם שכנראה בגלל איזה שהם טענות של יחס למחבלי נוח'בה, ויש שם אירוע של התבצרות וכולי. הטרלול שהמדינה שלנו נכנסת אליו סביב הסיפור הזה הוא
Yeah, he's saying that we need to stop paying attention to the abuse of Palestinians, not that we need to stop rioting in favor of the soldiers.
צריך להפסיק אותו.
This man
ואני
right
חושב
here.
שצריך פה לתת דוגמה אישית, ואני אומר עכשיו, ואני קורא לחברי הקואליציה לעשות כמוני, אני קם ואני יוצא מפה, ואני לא הולך להצביע יותר על שום דבר, עד שהסיפור הזה והטרלול הזה, שיש מי שבפרקליטות חושב שאפשר לבוא
That there is someone in the prosecutor's office that thinks it is possible to come and arrest soldiers for things that they're doing to Palestinians
לעצור חיילים על דברים
is
שעושים
not
למחבלי
over.
נוח'בה, לא נגמר. אוקיי? ואני מאוד מבקש, ואני חושב שחבריי בקואליציה טוב יעשו,
It's even
אם
worse.
יעשו כמוני. אנחנו לא יכולים להמשיך
You
כרגיל.
can't see the video? I had it set up. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Sorry. I'll play that from the
אני לא
beginning.
יודע אם
I clicked the button. It just didn't go in. Just so you can see the subtitles here. But,
מחבלי נוח'בה. והחיילים בשדה תימן, מתקן מעצר של מחבלי
it's
נוח'בה,
horrible. I
ומשטרה
mean,
צבאית שם הגיעה לעצור כמה לוחמים שם שכנראה
Loka, you're
בגלל
always a G.
איזה שהם טענות של יחס למחבלי נוח'בה, ויש שם אירוע של התבצרות וכולי. הטרלול שהמדינה שלנו נכנסת אליו סביב הסיפור הזה הוא מטורף, וצריך להפסיק אותו. ואני חושב שצריך פה לתת דוגמה אישית, ואני אומר עכשיו, ואני קורא לחברי הקואליציה לעשות כמוני, אני קם ואני יוצא מפה, ואני לא הולך להצביע יותר על שום דבר, עד שהסיפור הזה והטרלול הזה, שיש מי שבפרקליטות חושב שאפשר לבוא ולעצור חיילים על דברים שעושים למחבלי נוח'בה, לא נגמר. אוקיי?
Now here's the
מאוד
important
מבקש,
part.
ואני חושב שחבריי בקואליציה טוב יעשו אם יעשו כמוני. אנחנו לא יכולים להמשיך כרגיל.
להכניס מקל לרקטום
to insert a stick into a person's rectum, is this legitimate?
של בן אדם, זה לגיטימי?
כן.
Shut up. Yes, if he is a Palestinian, everything is legitimate to do.
אם הוא נוח'בה, הכל לגיטימי לעשות לו.
אוקיי.
הכל.
מצוין.
הכל.
זה מה שרציתי.
הכל, האנשים האלה, אתה יודע מה עשו?
אוקיי.
It's insane. I just finished reading a book about Auschwitz and the language is the same. Yes, exactly. The way that they talk about them is so incredibly similar. I could never have imagined Israel being this close to Nazi Germany in their behavior, in their language, like, we're talking about one camp, Sidi Timan. There's like 4 of them, or 5 of them. And there are Palestinians that are just being picked up off the streets, put into these camps, and just fucking tortured. We've covered videos of people who've gotten out of these camps sharing their stories. I would bring it up on stream, but we do have a lot to talk about. You can find it in my past videos on YouTube in my full streams folder. But I mean, yeah, these people, they don't care how they appear to others. They don't care about anything other than taking land for Israel away from Palestinians. This applies also to the West Bank, as now they've fully invaded the West Bank. Well, not fully, but they're in the process of it. Gaza is in fucking ruins. I mean, how much clearer can things get? I don't know. All right, just to switch topics again before we get to education, let's have a look at JD Vance real quickly. So workers allege nightmare conditions in the Kentucky startup that JD Vance helped fund. This was released earlier in the month, but unsurprising that JD Vance is not a great boss. Reportedly touted as guiding principles for investing in a company, a business should not only turn a profit, but it should help American communities. He said. This doesn't want to load.
A nightmare. It was a nightmare that should have never happened.
That nightmare happened here at this nearly empty greenhouse in eastern Kentucky. AppHarvest, a failed high-tech startup, promised local workers a future, but spiraled into broken promises. Anthony Morgan bought into the company's public pitch that it was for Appalachia by Appalachians.
We was being told that, hey guys, he's from here.
Thank you. Wow.
He is J.D. Vance, the Republican nominee for vice president.
I will be a vice president who never forgets where he came from.
Leaning on his personal
You'll
rise
never
of
forget to
poverty
fuck over the
reach
people
swing
where you
state
came from.
voters as Donald Trump's running mate.
I chose him because he's for the worker. He's for the people that work so hard and perhaps weren't treated like they should have been.
But before politics, Vance was a venture capitalist and AppHarvest's first outside investor, eventually steering millions of dollars to the company. Vance was a lead pitchman for the vertical farming startup, tweeting he was a supporter and investor, writing, "I love this company."
It's a great
JD
business
Vance
that's
has
making
a
big
very
difference
long
in the world.
history of flip-flopping on, I mean, remember, it was not even like a year and a half ago where he called Donald Trump America's Hitler, and now he's his vice presidential running mate.
The company's investor presentation
Nothing this man
pledged a
says you can
commitment
take
to
at
Appalachia,
face value.
estimating thousands of new jobs to a poverty-stricken area.
A major emphasis with them was, we want to bring work to Eastern Kentucky. This is why we are here.
Morgan left a stable job to join AppHarvest as a crop care specialist, pruning the greenhouse-grown vegetables. A single father with 6-year-old twins, the job rapidly turned when production fell behind under what a
They
dozen
all do.
workers described as
It's not even just lies and lies and lies because he's a politician. It goes beyond that, because many politicians will lie for their own benefit. JD Vance and Donald Trump and JD Vance just lie to lie often. They don't really even need to sometimes. And beyond that, JD Vance is the type of person who just wants you to suffer. If you are not a rich white male American, JD Vance hates you personally. And we know this because he wrote the foreword to Project 2025. You don't work with the Heritage Foundation and write part of Project 2025 unless you aren't that hateful and have those ideologies, because that's what they believe. That is what the Heritage Foundation believes, is that you're not deserving of respect if you are a black person. If you are a woman, you're not deserving of bodily autonomy. If you are a Hispanic person, you don't deserve respect. If you're a queer person, you don't deserve to exist, according to these people. They fucking hate you. And also, on top of that, they just want to suck as much money and happiness from your life as physically possible so that they can have it and you can suffer.
CNN
It's
as
just that simple.
mismanagement, including dangerous conditions. Employees filed multiple complaints to the state and federal government alleging heat exhaustion, working in extreme temperatures, and lack of water breaks, though the cases were all closed with no citations.
Remember, stuff like this isn't uncommon. In fact, this is one of the reasons why Elon Musk doesn't allow OSHA investigators into some of his plants, like his Tesla plants, and I think there's the really big one in, I think it's California or Arizona, where he just hasn't allowed OSHA in to inspect because it's dangerous. They don't care about your safety. They will absolutely sacrifice your safety and put your life at risk if it makes them a little bit more money.
I think about the hottest that I experienced was around 128 degrees.
Inside?
Inside. Couple days a week, you'd have ambulance show up, and you've seen people leaving on gurneys to go to the hospital.
The cuts came next to promised worker benefits. And then foreign workers came in to fill those so-called local jobs.
The second round of folks they brought in was folks on work visas. And they didn't bring just a van full. They brought...
Speaking of the heat exhaustion that they were talking about, I just looked it up. Because in Australia, after a specific temperature is reached, work generally stops, especially if you work outdoors. And yes, even though he works indoors, it is agriculture. Likely this would have been stopped too. It's 95 degrees Fahrenheit. In Australia, once it hits 95 degrees Fahrenheit, most people don't, like construction, road work, farmers, they all go home. You're not supposed to work after that heat. This guy was working in 128 degree heat. And of fucking course ambulances are getting called to work every day. 95 is a little low, and it's not the law. It's just the recommended temperature for that kind of work to be stopped. And as it gets hotter, it's more and more likely. Once it hits 95, a lot of the time it's roadwork crews that get sent home first because they're standing on black asphalt. And construction workers. But yeah, 128, that should just straight up be illegal. That's abuse.
Bus loads.
Documents show AppHarvest hired contract workers from outside the region. At one point, as many as 500, the majority of its workforce, not locals.
Yeah, after claiming that this would provide local jobs, again, they're liars because they would have to pay the locals more.
But that's not the image AppHarvest wanted the world to see. This is Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell visiting in 2021.
Mitch McConnell coming through.
This man
Were
really
the
looks like a
migrant
turtle.
workers there at the time? You're laughing. I mean, I look at the video. It doesn't look like there's any.
They hid these guys.
Of course they did.
Come out of the plant.
Look, I say this all the time. Republicans whinge about immigration constantly, but they don't actually want to do anything about it because it benefits them. Migrant workers coming into the United States, again, I've said this about 1 billion times now, pay taxes, do jobs that Americans don't want to do for less money, they commit less crimes, and, I never understood the anti-immigration stance of Republicans. The reason for it is fear-mongering. They want the American people to be afraid of the border and of immigrants so that they will vote for Republicans as, protecting the country, strong on immigration. But this rhetoric has gone back to the Bush era. And they've never actually stopped anything at the border because it's not beneficial to stop immigration. It's not. Our GDP goes up when more immigrants come in. Our crime rates are not going up because they commit less crimes. Most of our agriculture industry is done by undocumented migrants or just documented migrants as well. But they just love to complain about this just because it adds something. They don't have anything. If you actually try and convince the American people to vote for Republican policies by being honest, no one's going to vote for you because their policies are give all of your money to rich people and to take away your rights. That's their policies. That's all they really have. All of it's done by migrants. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. The ownership of our food production plants and all of it, that's not migrants. But yes, all of the workers, of course they're migrants.
And then Mitch McConnell's giving a speech about all this work that AppHarvest has brought Eastern Kentuckians.
Construction, I again went over this last stream, is actually number 2 in the list of jobs that are mostly done by migrants, especially undocumented migrants. It was agriculture, construction, manufacturing, and then the service industry. So yeah.
The idea of taking the tomato
You're totally right.
away from the Mexicans. How about that?
So they were trying to hide the migrant workers.
Wait, what did he just say?
This worker who asked not to be identified.
Kentuckians.
I like the idea of taking the tomato market away from the Mexicans. How about that?
So they were trying to hide the migrant workers.
Specifically, yeah.
This worker, who asked not to be identified, says the hiring of migrant workers became part of a mirage that AppHarvest was helping the region. He took this video as his co-workers clapped for visiting investors.
And anytime they did that, they kept workers off the floor doing our stationary parade while people come through. And it was awkward.
See, you know what my issue is here? It's not about this company hiring migrants. It's about the working conditions of the migrants. I'm all for giving both documented and undocumented migrants jobs. Give them all jobs, but regulate the industries so that they're not abusing the workers. What we're watching here happening in this little plant and the degree of unsafety, the working at incredibly hot temperatures, the lack of accountability for like the leadership of the company, this is not uncommon. This is the vast majority of US companies and how they behave, because that's how companies are meant to behave. Corporations exist to make profit, and that's it. And if you're not making profit, then you're failing. And this is the easiest way for them to make profit, is by cheating, by not following the rules, by harming the people that they work for, by underpaying them, by not paying enough attention to their safety. This is not uncommon, and we don't do anything about it because we're America and we love corporations. We don't want to regulate them at all because that would be socialism, and we can't have that, can we?
And I wouldn't say that I have fully developed views on this, but to me what it is sort of a value system to replace the fact that they're all fundamentally atheist or agnostic. They have no real value system. Their only value system is achieve in a very conventional way.
This is J.D. Vance attacking women who can't have kids just a couple days ago, which is wonderful. Oh, thanks for the follow.
And so the idea that somehow they're pursuing racial or gender equity is like the value system that gives their life meaning. Well, of course, they all find that that value system leads to misery, leads to unhappiness. And so I think that what happens is, like, whenever you really pursue something, right? Like, let's say
I have a couple points to make about what he said. I'm going to lose my train of thought if we don't go one at a time.
Value system.
So, first of all, he's claiming that you can't have a value system as an atheist. Again,
what it is sort of a value system to replace the fact that they're all fundamentally atheist or agnostic. They have no real value system. Their only value system is achieve in a very conventional way.
Now, this, I think, applies more to him than anyone else. I don't think that J.D. Vance is an actual, like, Christian, first of all, because, you know, real Christians don't behave this way. B, please continue attacking women. It's definitely going to help you during the election. You're definitely not pushing away Republican women to go, you know, not vote for Trump. But continue on.
And so the idea that somehow they're pursuing racial or gender equity is like the value system that gives their life meaning. Well,
the idea of pursuing equity is not a value system that gives my life meaning. The idea of pursuing equity for everybody is just morally correct. The argument that it's insane that the agnostic atheists don't have morals is the craziest thing. It's the base argument of religious extremists who like to argue that the only reason that humans aren't constantly ripping each other apart and cannibals and savages is because God has given us rules to follow. These are idiots, the people that actually believe this. They're genuine morons. To be able to not be able to, I don't know, have ethics and morals without somebody telling you what they are. Because that is what he wants. He wants to tell you what the right thing to do is.
of course, they all find that that value system leads to misery, leads to unhappiness.
What? So again, looking for gender and racial equity leads to misery and unhappiness?
Leads to misery, leads to unhappiness. And so I think that what happens is
you
like
can just lie
you
anytime you want.
Pursue something, right? Like let's say a doctor gives you a medicine to cure a disease and it doesn't work, right? The patient gets worse. Well, you can conclude one of two things. Either the medicine isn't working or the patient was so sick that what they need is even more of the medicine that you originally prescribed. And I think the gender inequity stuff is like, we need more of the medicine. Okay, clearly this value set has made me...
So what he's saying there isn't we need to be more equitable. It's the medicine here is shutting down conversations about equity.
A miserable person who can't have kids because I already, passed the biological period when it was possible, and I live in a 1,200 square foot apartment in New York, and I pay $5,000.
I don't know why he keeps thinking that you need children to be. Well, actually, I do know why. The argument that you need children to be happy is being pushed because they just think of women as incubators, where we exist only to push out babies and nothing else. And if we don't do that, to him, then we failed in our base instinctual need. our purpose in life, and so that makes us miserable. Says the very, very, very obvious 4chan incel groiper, JD Vance.
Month for it, but I'm really better than these other people.
Sorry, he's not an incel. He has a wife that he had to apologize on TV for not being white about.
What I'm gonna do is project my like racial and gender sensitivities on the rest of them. And like the reason that our society is broken is because these people don't think the exact way that I think. Even though the way that I think has made me a miserable person, I just need to make more people think like that.
It's so funny. Every accusation is a confession to these people. It really is. What he's accusing other people of doing, of the left of doing, just apply it to him and it makes significantly more sense. He's the one that wants to push his ideology on everybody else. He thinks that society's broken because not everyone thinks like him. He thinks that, there are degenerates, socially poisoned. This is Trump's words, but degenerates that are poisoning the culture of the United States. In his view, in my view, it is him that is doing that, because who he's talking about are just people who want everyone to be kind. All I've ever advocated for is just be a nice fucking person. I have a hard time thinking that he believes this. I think he's just appealing to the ultra. He doesn't believe this. He doesn't believe anything. He's a grifter. He's trying to appeal, yes, like you said, to the ultra conservative voters, but really he's aiming this towards the religious extremists, like the Christian extremists, the evangelical nationalists, and to the white nationalists. This is what this is aimed at. It's not even aimed at the general MAGA base. It's the Nazi MAGA base and the Christian Nazi MAGA base that this type of rhetoric is aimed at.
So we're gonna.
He might actually believe it too. Some of it. I mean, a lot of it he probably does believe, if I'm being honest.
Teach this in our schools, in our universities, even in our elementary schools, because once everybody agrees with me, then everything will finally come.
Again, the thing that he's talking about of everyone needs to agree with me is be a nice fucking person, mind your own business, and be nice to people. Ooh, hush, don't autoplay. We're not there yet. We have one more of JD Vance to go through.
His posts over the last 48 hours.
Actually, this is a whole thread. Jesus. All right, all I really care about is this part, because this is the part that I linked in. Where are we?
Night after CNN released a small clip of the Harris interview, you on Twitter posted a clip from a Miss Teen USA beauty pageant from 2007, Caitlin Upton, and you wrote, "I have gotten a hold of the full Kamala Harris CNN interview." Now, this thing that surfaced around the internet for a few years, she struggled answering a question back in this beauty pageant. I'm not sure you're aware, in 2015, Caitlin Upton did an interview with New York Magazine about all the social media attention this clip got, and she said, "I definitely went through a period where I was very, very depressed, but I never let anybody see that stuff except for people I could trust. I had some very dark moments where I thought about committing suicide." So when
before we actually get into the point of this clip, again, this is what they like to do. I mean, the left does this to an extent too, but those are the it's a very specific part of the left that does this, and they're not really leftists. It's more the red fasci types. But to make fun of someone on the internet to the point of them considering suicide is just wrong. Be nice to people, guys. Be kind. Kindness is good.
Posted this last night. Were you aware that the woman you were posting a picture of had contemplated committing suicide for the attention it had received?
No, certainly not, John, and my heart goes out to her, and I hope that she's doing well. Look, I've said a lot of things on camera. I've said a lot of stupid things on camera. Sometimes when you're in the public eye, you make mistakes, and again, I think the best way to deal with it is to laugh at ourselves, laugh at this stuff.
So he wants to laugh at ourselves and laugh at this stuff of this thing that almost got someone to kill themselves. Laugh at it. That's how you deal with it. Don't be sad. Laugh along.
Have some fun in politics. I posted a meme
Have some fun.
20 years ago, and I think the fact that we're talking about that instead of the fact that American families can't afford groceries or health care, young families can't afford to buy a home.
Trying to
raise their
change the
families in.
subject.
Those are the real crises that we should focus on, and there's nothing that says that we can't tell some jokes along the way while we deal with the very...
You can tell lots of jokes. I think the fact that he can't seem to accept the concept of a joke that he told hurts somebody is just not something that he can accept. It's like, oh, but I was just joking. You should just laugh it off. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
serious business of bringing back our public policy. Politics has gotten way too lame, John, way too boring. You can have some fun.
This is so
while making
fucking
good arguments
cringe.
to the American people about
Of course politics can be fun. Of course we can make jokes. Making jokes at other people's expense, though, can sometimes lead to bad outcomes. It's not hard to understand this. Well, maybe it is for Republicans, because they continue to do it over and over again.
You're going to improve their lives.
Okay, I just want to be clear, though. You said you did know. Would you like to apologize to Caitlin Upton for posting that last night, given what you've now learned?
John, I'm not going to apologize for posting a joke, but I wish the best for Caitlin. I hope that she's doing well. And
That's a Trump voter, too. Like, this Kate Upton voted for Donald. This is a Republican that he's talking. He won't even apologize for what he did to her.
again, what I'd say is one bad moment shouldn't define anybody, and the best way to deal with this stuff is to laugh at ourselves.
Last night, Vice President Harris...
Laugh at ourselves, you know? That's the way to deal with it. All right, whatever. Now, for the main course of today, we are going to discuss education and why Republicans fucking hate it and what they want to do. Now, this is just like a little broad outline of everything. For those that don't know what school choice means in the United States, when people are saying school choice, they don't mean what you think it means. So education is a difficult thing to discuss because there's a lot of phrases that have been specifically created to mean the opposite or different things than what you might think they mean. School choice comes off as, to me, as, oh, well, you know, I should be able to choose where my kid goes to school. Let's say I live in this town, but I used to live in a town over, and my kid went to that school, and now I've moved, but I don't want my kid to change schools. That's school choice and what it sounds like to a regular person. That's not what it means to Republicans.
Now, the debate over vouchers and school choice is heating up anew in some states. The latest, last week, the Indiana Supreme Court upheld a 2011 state law allowing tax...
Hold on, when is this from again? Yeah, okay, so this is quite old, just so you know. This has been going on for a very long time. We're only going to watch about the first minute and a half of this, just to get a rundown.
...to be used for private schools through tuition vouchers. We turn again to Hari for that story.
Ahead of last week's
Wow,
ruling,
they've been
Republican
trying to do
Governor
this
Mike
for
Pence
more than a
rallied
decade.
students and parents at the state legislature in Indianapolis in support of the voucher program.
Wait, hold on.
In Indianapolis in support of the voucher program. In 2011, education correspondent John Telenko visited Indiana soon after the law passed and found passions still strong on both sides. Then State Superintendent Tony Bennett was the driving force behind the Republican-led choice movement.
What this has done it has allowed, and the statistics are bearing it out, it is allowing families the opportunity to pursue prosperity for their children.
Democratic state...
Now, that's the framing that they like to give. Now, let's just have a look at this real quickly. So, school choice. Term for various education options that allow students and families to select alternatives to public school. There are different ways that they go about this, but some of them are scholarship tax credits, some of them are school voucher programs. Other school choice options include open enrollment laws, which allow students to attend public schools other than their neighborhood school, which that one I'm okay with. But charter schools, magnet schools, virtual schools, homeschooling, which I have a huge problem with, there is a plan to do this. And the goal of this is the dismantling of the United States education system. In fact, we know for a fact that Donald Trump has said that he will dismantle the Department of Education. Now, this is all stuff that's been happening, by the way. This isn't stuff they want to do. There are states that have these. But just to get a little more context into what a school voucher policy is. So in the 80s, Reagan pushed for this. It was adopted in a few states, that have these school voucher programs, which include tax credits and education savings accounts as two alternates to vouchers. There are 27 states plus the District of Columbia with private school choice programs. Most of these programs are offered to students in low-income families, low-performing schools, or students with disabilities. Now, this sounds nice on the surface, right? However, when you look at what this actually does, is the United States government is saying that if you take your student out of public school because you want to send them to a private school, just in general, the U.S. government will pay some of the money that is required. I think it's generally in education savings accounts, which are the most common, I believe. It's about 80 to 90% of what the private school will cost. And I thought I had this. Here it is, the Brookings one. And so the idea is that a family, whether you're upper class or lower class, if you want your student to go to a private school, the government will pay for most of it, and you just pay for the little bit that's left, and then you can send your kid to a private school. Now, in practice, this doesn't actually work out the way that they say it does. Beyond that, for every child that gets taken out of public school and put into a private school through these education savings accounts, through these school voucher programs, reduces the funding that is going to the actual public school, which then decreases the quality of the school because they have less money. The whole goal of this is, as we can see in Arizona, who has done this, we go down to their maps of, where is it? It's down here. So this is a participation in the Empowerment Scholarship Account Program in the Phoenix area. Now, again, this was implemented by Arizona in 2023. It's very recent. Hold on. Over time, eligibility extends until in 2022, Arizona lawmakers opened the program to all students. 2022. Now, if you look at enrollment in this program in Phoenix, this is the map. Obviously, the darker colors are where there is higher amounts of enrollment and lower in the white. Now, if we go to the median household income of Phoenix, how different does this map look to you? Of the highest income households continued to enroll in these accounts, whereas the lower incomes did not. Which means that these lower income households, these students from them, still go to public school. Public school, which is now getting funded less because all of these parents send their kids to private school now with the government's money. Which, first of all, that doesn't really makes it essentially it just makes it a public school, but different. Now, this is how funding for these schools actually work. Just give me a moment. This is from 2024. So public education spending in the U.S. falls short of global benchmarks and lags behind economic growth. K-12 schools spend about $857.2 billion or $17,280 per student annually. So the federal, state, and local governments pay a vast majority of that money. The difference between the spending and funding is $21 billion at $420 per student. The federal government provides 13.6% of the funding for public K-12 education, and public post-secondary schools spend an average of $30,000 per student. So this map just shows you about how much the government pays for your public schools. This is not private schools. Per student. So I'm from New Jersey, so $26,000 per year was my education. Likely, probably lower than that. That number's probably gone up. But the number of the cost of students is going up, obviously. Now, again, we are actually below the global benchmark. We should be spending about 15%, I believe, is the global benchmark of your GDP on education. And we do not do that. But so, spending stats, K through 12 public schools spend $17,000 per student. Expenditures are equivalent to 3.68% of a taxpayer income. K through 12 schools nationwide receive $120 billion in funding total, or $2,400 per pupil from the federal government. Now, again, all of these links are in my description. We don't have to go over each of these numbers one by one, but if you compare it to the world, the United States in education spending falls short of benchmarks set by international organizations such as UNESCO, which the U.S. is a member of. The nation puts 12.7% of public funding towards education, well below the international standard of 15%, which does not surprise me. Not only are we not spending enough money on education at the moment, they want to cut the Department of Education entirely. Remember that. Entirely. They want to get rid of it. They want all of this gone. This money that we're spending on students, no, we don't need it. Why the fuck would we spend money on students? Now, the argument that they often make is that private schools know the lower spending shows. Yes, so private schools do often cost less money per student for their education. Now, if we actually, let me go back to this map really quickly. So this is the K through 12 map per student, and this is it for private school tuition. So I was talking about New Jersey. It's 26 grand for public schools. It's 16 grand for private schools. Now, the argument that they'll make is private schools are more efficient and therefore need to spend less money. What they don't talk about, however, is that the amount of money that is spent on tuition for public schools, more of it goes to the actual students than in private schools. I have this written down here. Just give me a moment. Yes, here we go. So, for public school spending, 41 to 60% of the federal allocated money is actually spent on the student. The rest of it is spent on, obviously, paying for maintenance of the school, other staff members, teachers, and supplies for the school, etc. But 60% to 40% goes to the actual students. Whereas in, oh, sorry. My apologies. That was private schools. Public schools go up to 65% and a minimum of 54%. So public schools spend 10% more of the money that they get from the government on actual students. Now, where is the 10% on average that the private schools spend less on students go? Well, it goes to administration costs. It goes to the people who own the school making a profit. And so there really is no efficiency in private schools, which makes them cost less. They cost less because they don't give a shit about your students. They will spend less money on them and pocket some of it for themselves and still charge less than the public school, so they can continue this this talking point of, oh, look, we're cheaper than public schools, so you know we don't need to. The government should be supporting us, not public schools. That's the argument. That's why Betsy DeVos was the education secretary under Donald Trump. All of these talking points are used for very specific reasons. There are reasons why they want children to go to private schools beyond just profit. There's slightly more to it than that. So a lot of these, as you can see, a lot of these private schools are religious. There's the Catholics, there's the non-sectarians, and then there's the average. Not all of these are Catholic schools. Not all of these are religious schools. However, there is a lot of religious schools. And part of the reason why they want children to go to public school is, A, it increases the control that parents have over their children, which is a big talking point. I mean, they talk about parents' rights all the time in reference to being able to control the healthcare decisions of their children. And they talk about parents' rights for when schools don't want to tell parents about their kid being gay because it might endanger the children. They want children in private schools so that private schools can set their policy rather than the government that, no, this is not allowed. Yes, we will tell your parents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In a way of, they want to limit children's autonomy. They want to limit what students can think, believe, express themselves. Obviously, a public school where it is the government that owns the school, technically, there is much less that you can do to try and control the students, because it's illegal. It's against not only school policy, but it goes to actual state and federal policy. Whereas private schools often don't report a lot of these things. There is a lot of abuse in private schools, and we know this for a fact. It's been this way for years. But beyond that, it also increases the religious and conservative influence among children in general. We know religious people often, especially the evangelical Christians, have a huge problem with how public schools are run. The woke are transing your kids is what they believe. And by having them go to a private school, they think that this is preventing that. Now, there are many other reasons, but I do want to say what the Teachers Union, the National Education Association of America said. Where are you? Give me 1 second. Where are my links? Oh my goodness. So which states have private school choice? Where is the quote that I had from the... Oh, I know where it was. My apologies. I opened the wrong link. It was here. It was here. Opponents of school vouchers, which is generally not just school vouchers, but school choice. The main critique of school vouchers and education tax credits is that they put public education in competition with private education, obviously, threatening to reduce and reallocate public school spending, funding to private schools. Opponents question the belief that private schools are more efficient. We've talked about this. In fact, I have an actual study linked in the, here it is, linked in the source document, which we can, let's just look at this highlight part. In fact, private schools have put between 41 and 60% of their allocated funds into the classroom, while public school districts put as much 54 to 63. The study also determined that administration costs in private schools are higher than public schools. On average, they spend 18.5% on admin, while public schools spend 11.5%. Efficiency argument is kind of bullshit. But the important thing here, public school teachers and teachers unions have also fought against school vouchers in the United States for decades now. Most notably, the National Education Association, the largest labor union in the United States, argues that school vouchers erode educational standards and reduce funding, that giving money to parents to choose where to send, whether to send their children to a religious or other school is unconstitutional. It's not. This was struck down by the Supreme Court. It is not unconstitutional for government money to go to a religious private school, even though really it should be, because we do have separation of church and state. Government money shouldn't be going to anything religious, but the Supreme Court did rule that as a non-issue. But regardless of this, the idea here is exactly what the National Education Association is saying. They want children to move to private school. They want money out of public school. The NEA additionally argues that more money should go to public school education to help schools that are struggling and improve school scores overall, which is what the entire issue that Republicans have with, well, not Republicans, but the proponents of school choice vouchers have, is that schools are too bureaucratic and that they're not learning enough and that the test scores are low because lower education, lower income households don't get good education because their district doesn't get the tax money, because obviously school tax, the funding for schools comes from property taxes for the most part. So if you live in a rich area that pays more property tax, then your school will be funded more than if you live in a rural area where the houses don't cost very much. Then the funding for your school is much less. Now, I agree with the argument that we should be funding all schools significantly more. But that's not what Republicans want to do. They want to take away your right to have an education that is consistent with standards of the world. Now, where are you? Also, these programs don't even work really well. Arizona's program that we just covered recently, please go away. This was last year. They lost money doing so. They spent more money on private schools by doing these vouchers. Cost estimates from the Arizona Department of Education that the state's new universal school voucher program are raising questions about the empowerment scholarship accounts will ultimately save money or cost the state more than expected. The department estimates that a projected enrollment of 100,000 students will cost about $900 million to fund fiscal year 2024. According to documents from the state's Joint Legislative Budget Committee released by the 12 News Department, said that 57,886 students are currently in the program. They can't afford to do this. Well, they can. But critics of Arizona's voucher program argue that it will be bankrupt next year. This is both a good and a bad thing for them, because they do want to funnel money away from, the lower classes to the upper class. And through doing this, by spending tax money that you have put in, if you live in Arizona and you work and you spent tax money, that money went into these education savings programs, and then that money went into the pocket of people who own these private schools. Now, did it cost more than they expected? Yes. Did you pay more money than you should have? Yes. Did that money go to your child's education? Probably not. They don't care about you. They hate you. The Republican Party is not the party of workers. They are not the party of the average American. They're the party of corporations, of the wealthy, of those that want to suck as much money from you as they can. They don't care about you. Now, in Nebraska, there's a measure to repeal a private school tuition funding bill that will be on the ballot this November. If you live in Nebraska, please go out and vote for this. Get them to take this away. Public school advocates have collected enough signatures to ask voters to repeal a new law that uses taxpayer money to fund private school tuition, according to Nebraska's top officials. Organizers of Support Our Schools announced in July that they had gathered more than 86,000 signatures of registered voters, well over the 62,000 needed to get the repeal on the ballot. Signatures also had to be collected from 5% of the registered voters in at least 38 of Nebraska's 93 counties to qualify for the ballot. He did. So in the second time ahead of the November election, the public school advocates have had to carry out signature gathering efforts to try and reverse the use of the public's money for private school tuition. The first came last year when Republicans, who dominate the officially nonpartisan Nebraska legislature, passed a bill to allow corporations and individuals to divert millions of dollars they own in state income taxes to nonprofit organizations. Those organizations would in turn award that money to private school tuition scholarships. Again, funneling your money from you to the rich, and that's it. That's all they want to do. They want to steal your money. Corporations and individuals to divert millions of dollars in state income taxes. If you live in Nebraska, those are your taxes. You have the right to those taxes. Those taxes could have been used to build roads. Those taxes could have been used to, educate your children for real. Support Our Schools has collected far more signatures last summer. Because the move repealed the first law, it rendered last year's successful petition efforts moot, requiring organizers to again collect signatures to try and stop the scheme. So, right, my apologies, I missed that bit. The effort was thwarted by lawmakers who supported private school funding bill when they repealed the original law and replaced it earlier this year with another funding law. I get it. So, this organization went and got all these signatures to put this on the ballot. And then what they did is they repealed the law and then put it under a new name so that all those signatures don't count anymore. So they have to go out and re-canvass for this. That's how Republicans work, by the way, oftentimes in state legislature. They will use sneaky little tactics like that to fuck you over. Pay attention to your local politics. Nebraska's new law follows several other conservative Republican states, including Arkansas, Iowa, and South Carolina, impacting some form of private school choice from vouchers to education savings program accounts. Both opponents and supporters of Nebraska's private school funding measure have said they expect the fight to end up in court. Please go vote. Please get this taken out of that state. It is not useful for you. It is not good for your kids. It is just it's bad for everybody all around.
Now the debate over vouchers.
Hold on, not you. This is not what I wanted to open. Oh my goodness, I'm missing a video. Here we go.
Now the debate.
Oh my god. Okay. This is unrelated. This is actually in relation to Trump. I must have put the wrong link in my doc here. But Donald Trump defense admits to Clarence Thomas directed that their defense strategy before taking it back. Yes, this did happen today, actually, where Donald Trump's lawyer in court said that Justice Clarence Thomas told them to make a specific argument and then had to take that back. Now, the actual clip that I was looking for was where he said that he would defund. I can't type when I'm not looking, but that's fine. This is from The Guardian. Fuck it. Let's see. Donald Trump wants to shut down the U.S. Department of Education, saying at recent rallies that it should be disbanded and move everything back to the states where it belongs. This is A, both part of the Project 2025 agenda, and B, he has said it multiple times, including recently. The idea of dismantling the education department has become increasingly mainstream throughout the entirety of the Republican Party. Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation's right-wing manifesto for potential incoming Trump administration, lays out how dismantling the federal education department would work, leaving behind, if anything, a husk focused solely on statistic gathering agencies that disseminate information to the states. They want the only schools to be private schools. The department's elimination is one of many goals contained in the extensive playbook that will inform the second term. Project 2025 calls for privatizing education and driving out any programs related to LGBT, youth, or diversity, unsurprisingly. Now, actually, this goes into a further conversation of education being kind of a battleground for a while now, honestly. It has been for education, but in a lot of ways it relates to healthcare as well. They want private schools to be the only schools that you can send your kids to, not just because it makes them money, but because it would make it easier for them to harm LGBT people. Now, this, just give me one moment here to open some links. I have a couple here. Now this is from a year ago, but Christian legal nonprofit funds U.S. anti-LGBT and anti-abortion organizers, which, again, unsurprising to anybody. Christian hate group, which is behind legal efforts to roll back abortion rights, remove LGBT protections, demonize trans people. This is really like the only actual battleground that the Republicans have. Not that it's like valid or anything, because it's not, but this is the only way that they've managed to form a cohesive narrative on anything. Not that it makes sense, not that it's correct, but it's a narrative that's put together at the very least. And it's, you know, we don't even really need this. Everyone knows how they feel about, you know, queer people. Everyone knows that they're very anti-abortion, obviously. I mean, the human rights group, Republican politicians, commentators continue to wage a culture war in the U.S. In June, the Human Rights Campaign, the country's largest LGBT advocacy group, declared a state of emergency for LGBT people in the U.S., citing an unprecedented and dangerous spike in anti-LGBT legislation. The report found that just the month that this was published, 75 anti-LGBT bills were signed into law in the first 5 months of 2023, more than double the entire amount passed in 2022. And they will continue to do that. Not that this is popular either, because they ran on social issues like trans people before, and it screwed them entirely during the midterms last time around. Wow, okay, I got through my links much quicker than I expected to. Let's see what else is going on. I don't want to end stream yet. If any of you have anything you want to talk about or send in, please do, because all I really wanted to do today was finish talking about education. And then the stuff came out about the Russian assets, as we say. Oh, this happened. I forgot about this. I did mean to bring this up earlier when we were talking about J.D. Vance.
This
is hush. I hate Twitter's autoplay.
Now look, the Kamala Harris answer to this is to take law-abiding American citizens' guns away from them. That is what Kamala Harris wants to do. She says, look, I don't like this. I don't like to admit this.
No one wants to take your guns away. Maybe just like one of them that you don't need. It's an assault rifle ban, and it's not even gonna pass. We would need to win all three, like, the houses of the government. We need the House, the Senate, and the presidency to be able to pass an assault rifle ban. It's just not gonna happen.
I don't like that this is a fact of life. But if you are a psycho and you want to make headlines, you realize that our schools are soft targets. And we have got to bolster security at our schools so that a person who walks through the front door...
He's calling this a fact of life. You know there are countries in the world that have a lot of guns, but don't have this type of crime happening, right? You don't have psychos going in and shooting up schools in Switzerland, where... Is it Switzerland that has a bunch of guns? Is it the Swiss? It's either Switzerland, Norway. It's a Nordic country. Now Switzerland has a whole bunch of bomb shelters. Yes, it is Switzerland. They love their guns more than Americans do. However, they have actual laws, you know, about storage and carry. Like, we have these laws too, obviously, but gun culture in Switzerland is a strong culture compared to other countries of the world. Recreational shooting is widespread practice in Switzerland, with guns being a popular form of recreation, encouraged by the government. And the way they do this is actually like properly organizing events. They teach kids. Like, another possibility for children to shoot is young shooters. The SAT, Lit Shooting Off-on-Duty Activities, funds lessons in which Swiss children can learn how to shoot using, I don't know, I guess that's a gun, starting at 15 years old for the regular course, but as young as 10. This activity is free for young shooters, and they're able to take home the rifle in between lessons if they're 17. They don't have school shootings in Switzerland. You know why? because people talk about guns in a different way. They talk about safety first. And they have actual fucking legislation that makes sure that you are stable, that you should be able to carry a gun. It's not a fact of life, like J.D. Vance says. If it was, there'd be plenty happening in Switzerland too. It's our gun culture that is wrong. I don't know. It's just so frustrating. It's the gun culture that's wrong. That's it. It's just that. I mean, again, lessons, teachers. The gun issue has always upset you. Well, yes, me too, because I'm not anti-gun. I don't have a gun, but I think you should probably go buy one if you're a leftist, because right now, almost all of the people who have guns are the crazy right-wingers. But yeah, it is depressing that we have all of this crime, all of these shootings. Students die all the time from school shootings, and we've never done anything about it. The only gun legislation I remember being passed in my lifetime is the fucking bump stocks ban that they took away. People hate to admit that some people shouldn't have guns, and yes, you're right. Some people should not have guns. In fact, I would argue most people should not have guns, but most people do have guns. At the moment, like, I don't know. It's such a difficult issue to fix. Even in Australia, there was a big shooting a few decades ago, and then they introduced very strict gun legislation into Australia. Whereas, like, now if you own a gun in this country, in Australia, the police will come to your house to check that it's stored correctly, like randomly, twice a year, I believe. But we now have more guns than we did here prior to the shooting, where they, banned semi-automatic guns, no automatic rifles. We put in a lot more gun regulation than America has decades ago, and we still have more guns than we did before. However, I haven't seen a mass shooting in Australia. I've lived here 5 years. I've seen people go out and stab 5 or 6 people before they get arrested, but not shoot because they can't get a gun. Could you imagine a guy that goes and stabs 5 people in the street? What if he had a gun? How many more people would die? It's when people say common sense gun legislation, that's what they mean is, on a basic fundamental level, do you trust this person to carry a firearm? And honestly, a lot of the time I would say no. Sorry, I don't know what you said there. It just the chat just glitched. Did my bot mess you up? Oopsie. What foul language did you use? I didn't even think I had Cloudbot on. Where are you? Did it ban you? I hope it didn't ban you. Oh my goodness. Alright. I think... cool. It didn't ban you. Lovely. I'm trying to turn off the bot because I didn't want it on to begin with. Really? That's what it did that? Fuck that. Hold on. It's turning off right now. Now say hell. Hell. Is it gonna ban me? No. Cool. Lovely. Fuck that. You can say anything you want in my chat. I mean, if you come in here and you start using slurs, I personally will ban you. But I don't want the bot fucking censoring my chat. Just be nice to people and you're fine. But like as I said, gun legislation is a tricky topic because not only is there an incredible amount of misinformation out there, but people have been conditioned for years now, for decades, to expect that the government will come to your house and take your guns. And I'm sorry, if you are a person who thinks that you need to have your AR-15 in case, to fight government oppression, as they say, the Second Amendment is there so that, we can fight government oppression, ignoring the fact that you're not a well-regulated militia, as the amendment says. But if you think you could do fucking anything, if the government wants to come take your house, they're going to take your house. They want to kill you, they're going to kill you. If they want to take your family away from you, they will do so, and you cannot stop them. Because they're the U.S. government. They're the military. What do you have? You have an AR-15? Sure, maybe you served in the military. Sure, you might know how to, fight. But you know what you can't do? Is, not die when they fucking drone strike your ass for resisting. Okay? Not that that's going to happen, because the government isn't coming for your guns. They're not coming for your house. They're not coming for your family. They're not. They're just not. It's never going to happen. This is a fantasy that they like to play out in their head to feel like, fucking powerful Jason Bourne, I don't know, the Sail al-Khalid, fucking you're in Dune walking around. No, none of this is real. You're in a fantasy land. Your guns are not there to protect you from the government anymore. You cannot do that. You just can't. It won't help you. You have guns because you like to have guns. You have guns because you want to protect your household from other people, which, okay, sure. You don't need 15, assault rifles to do that. It doesn't even really work. Having a gun in your house is not you're more likely to hurt someone in your household than to protect them from a robber. I don't know. Not only that, but we also don't even teach people gun safety properly. I mean, in half of the states, you can just go somewhere and buy a gun from like a gun show, like a private sale, no background check required, nothing. You just buy a gun, go home with it that day. It's not okay, and it's not leading to anything good. It is the cause of all these gun problems. We can have guns in America. We can have the same amount of guns that we do. We don't even have to reduce the amount of guns that we have. If people just treated guns like they're guns rather than toys. I don't know. It's this Wild West Southern, I'm a Texan culture that makes them want these guns so bad. I don't know. There's no use for them. What are you using it for? You're not going hunting with a rifle that'll blow a hole the size of an apple through whatever you're killing. It's so sensitive, any sort of legislation. Well, that's because the NRA spends an incredible amount of money on our political officials. If you say anything negative about guns, you're almost guaranteed to have your opponent in your next primary funded by the NRA. It's kind of like saying shitty things about Israel, and then AIPAC goes and puts $15 million into your opponent's account and buys your, Congress seat. I agree. I like guns. I want guns. I want my own guns. I would have them if A, I could afford them because guns are expensive and I'm poor, but and B, if I didn't need to install a heavy safe into the apartment that I rent. And no. But yes, we should absolutely be legislating guns much, much more carefully than we are. Obviously, background checks, criminal history is checked, but not in private sales. Actually, we should probably just ban private gun sales without going and getting a permit. I think if you want to sell a gun privately, you should have to go to City Hall and get a permit for that. Otherwise, it should entirely just be illegal. Mental health checks, regular checks. I like the idea of what they do here, where the police will come to your house every year and make sure that, you are on top of everything. You're keeping everything stored properly. Your gun safe is locked. Your ammo safe is locked. They're not in the same place, etc. A gun should not be easy for you to reach. Having a gun for home protection isn't you don't need that. It's not enough anymore, but it's not enough because we don't do it. It's not just that the background checks don't function well enough, A, because they're not broad enough, but in a lot of cases, they're not required. And so it ruins the point of having them. And also, gun laws are generally different state to state. Like, you can just go from, like, Detroit, right? In Michigan. Michigan has pretty strict gun laws. But Illinois is right next to Detroit, is right there. You can just drive to Illinois, go to Chicago, buy some guns there, drive them back to Michigan, and that's fine. We need to genuinely, like, sit down and regulate this entire industry. It's not even just the guns or the gun ownership, it's the industry that needs to be regulated. But again, this goes back to every industry needing to be regulated because every industry is corrupt and because, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Socialism. This is, everything ties together. And everything comes back to money and politics. We're not going to fix anything to do with guns until money is out of politics because the NRA spends a fuckload of money on politics to make sure we don't do anything about guns. Again, the one piece of gun legislation, the one restriction that I remember in my lifetime was the ban on bump stocks after the Las Vegas shooting, which, if you don't know what a bump stock is, it's an attachment for your gun where when you pull the trigger, it makes the recoil bounce your hand so that you pull the trigger again. It essentially turns your semi-automatic rifle into an automatic one. That ban was put in place under the Trump administration, and the Supreme Court not all that long ago, I think, overturned it. I think was the Supreme Court or did it Congress overturn it? One or the other. Either way, you can buy bump stocks again now. That was the only thing we had done. They don't want to regulate guns. They don't care. And also, gun violence is kind of good for Republicans because they get to fearmonger. And the only way Republicans get to have power is by fear-mongering. If people are not afraid, then their messaging doesn't generally mean anything to anybody. No one gives a shit. What else is going on here? Pennsylvania voters can cast a provisional ballot if their mail-in ballot is rejected, court says. A court decided Thursday that voters in the presidential battleground state of Pennsylvania can cast provisional ballots in place of mail-in ballots that are rejected for a garden variety mistake they made when they returned it. Interesting. Democrats typically outvote Republicans by mail 3-1 in Pennsylvania. The decision by the state Commonwealth Court panel could mean that hundreds of thousands more votes are counted in November's election when the state is expected to play an outsized role in picking the next president. Oh, thanks for the follow. Redoptio. I will say your name properly. Provisional ballots is typically cast at a polling place on election day and is separate from regular ballots in case when election workers need more time to determine voters' eligibility to vote. So actually, that's a great idea. I like that. Provisional ballot in case something happens to your mail-in ballot. Good for you, Pennsylvania. This seemed interesting.
I can't imagine
Hey, where's the sound? Excuse me.
anybody in New Hampshire voting for him. Anybody sure that votes
Is there no
for him.
sound? Ah, there it is.
Biden, I can't imagine New Hampshire voting for him. Anybody in New Hampshire, because they're watching right now, but anybody in New Hampshire that votes for Biden and Kamala, I really think, I call her, I can't imagine.
What? What? It's just incoherent. As usual. Fucking incoherent. Look, honestly, a bit of a short stream today. I think I might play a game. Because that's kind of the base of the news today. Actually, hold on. We have Marco Rubio making a comment on our little Russia interference.
Are real and truthful.
Can you explain to me
On Fox fucking News.
and this audience what that indictment's about?
Okay, so disinformation is something totally different from what they are going after or describing. Disinformation is when you make up things that aren't true and you spread it so people think they're true. In this particular
Which is exactly what they've been doing.
case, we are talking about pre-existing political opinions in the United States. These are pre-existing political opinions that have existed well before any Russian engagement.
Oh my goodness. So that's their
One
argument?
of the indictments that came out yesterday, it does not allege that these people that they say were being funded by the secret donor that was hiding their true identity, they already had these opinions. They already believed in these things. They
You got 100K to talk shit about Ukraine, did you?
legitimately
Joining Tim Pool on Timcast Cheeseburger?
believe in the views that they're espousing. They were victims. They were targets of a fraud in which someone posing as just a regular investor.
I wonder if I could defraud the Russian government by saying that I will take money. Oh, the CCP told you to say that stuff the other night. Oh, I get it. 50K easy. Cool. Can you defraud them? Because I'm wondering if they give me money for saying this stuff and then I immediately come out and say, oh, no, by the way, ignore everything I just said. That was just to prove to everybody, look at this money I got from these people. I don't even want the money. I'll give it to the government. I feel like they'd hack me. Yeah, probably. Give a shit. What are they gonna do? And hack me and what? they have nothing they can do to me if they hack me. What, they can stop me from streaming? DDoS me with my what, like 12 viewers?
Had Russian money behind them. As far
Look, these people are obviously lying, and again, it is so very clear when you're looking at somebody who's paid to say something. And as we went over with all the videos of Tim Pool, for example, talking about issues, he may not have gotten paid specifically to have these points of view, but he certainly is getting paid to say them on the internet. And that is the point. It's not about, as Marco Rubio said, whether it's a pre-existing ideology or view that this person has. First of all, it is incorrect information that you're trying to make people believe. So yes, it is disinformation, whether you like it or not. But on top of that, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. You're getting paid to say it to your viewers to influence their opinion. It is still objectively working for a foreign country. It is still being a foreign agent. It is still illegal. And I really want them to investigate a lot more people than they have now. Look, the last couple days has been really good on this. It's making me happy. I want more. I want to see them all arrested. Every single one of these fucking people taking money from foreign countries to influence our elections. Or even just influence our laws. Not even our elections. And then, after we handle the foreign countries, then I want to go after companies. Reverse Citizens United. And give us a goddamn real democracy back that can't be bought or sold by rich people. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of Elon Musk having any sort of an influence over politics. I'm sick of everyone pointing to this billionaire or that billionaire that, you know, they're funding things behind the scenes. They're all doing it. It's all of them. And that's what people don't understand. The right is talking about Bill Gates and what's his name? The one that the Nazis all like talk about. Yeah, I give so little of a fuck. Soros, yeah, Soros. So Bill Gates and Soros is what they talk about on the right. On the left, we have Elon Musk that we're complaining about. Fuck all of them. Fuck all of them. Every single one of them. Fuck them. To be fair, I don't think any of them should have as much money as they do anyway. I don't think billionaires should exist. I think we should take all of their money and give it to everyone else. Equally. Spread it out. In fact, I think we should take all their money and not even just give it to Americans. Let's give it to everybody. Because, you know, I don't particularly care what country you're from. It's if you're a human being that isn't a political leader, let me just say, then you're probably just a regular person and care about regular shit, like just like everyone else. It's the issue that I have with foreign nations trying to influence us is that it's not. Yeah, governments suck. People are dope. Exactly. But governments suck because shitty people have made it suck. We can make governments dope with our dope energy. You and me, Cheeseburger, Verdopti, me, anyone else. Go make your government not suck. Please. You can do it. I don't know. The CCP. Probably not that one. I don't think you can do much about that at the moment. Like we talked about the interview with Mehdi Hassan and the vice president. That shit's scary. Don't go to the CCP and try and make their government less shitty. They will arrest you and you will go to the Chinese gulags. We can save them for last after we've fixed everyone else. I'd chill for a government if it was good. That's my line. I don't care if it's legal or not. If it's a good government and I'm shilling for positive things that, actually help people, sure, I'll shill for that. I want good things for people. I want social programs. I want education funding. I want healthcare. I want, respect for everybody. I want equity for, between all ethnicities and races and genders. I want bodily autonomy. I want civil rights for all. I want there to be, a focus on labor instead of on the elite. I want to raise the labor class. I think we should elect the Dalai Lama as the world president. I don't think so. Hasn't he done some weird shit? Like some sussy shit? Or at least said something? No, I don't know. Who knows? Let's see. Let's look at, he's the 14th one. I don't know if he got canceled. Let's have a look. We're looking for the 14th Dalai Lama. Jesus Christ. Okay. Very long Wikipedia article. The 14th Dalai Lama. Is this the current guy? Yeah, okay. People's Republic of China. Jesus, this man is old. With the aim of launching guerrilla operations against the Chinese, the CIA funded the Dalai Lama's administration with nearly $2 million a year in the 60s. 2001, the sort of like an Asian priest, I guess, but some massive chiller like Snoop Dogg or something has the final say. I don't think that giving the final say to someone like Snoop Dogg is a good idea. I don't know. Maybe they should be sober. But a chill guy, sure. Actually, from what I'm seeing here, he's not he's not bad. Became one of the 2 most popular world leaders in 2013, tied with Obama. He said Tibet wants to be part of China, but China should let Tibet preserve its culture and script. Stated that Europe belongs to Europeans and Europe has a moral obligation to aid refugees whose lives are in peril. Further, he stated that Europe should receive help educating refugees, but ultimately they should return to develop their home countries. That's a little sussy. I just think regional governments are a recipe, some form of effective global enforcement, and it's not the UN or the League of Nations vibe. Are you talking like BRICS? No. Look, I think we can restructure the UN to make it actually work. I think part of the reason why the UN doesn't function well is just because of veto power. We just got rid of veto power. Also, I've talked about this before, the entire Security Council, needs to change. There are countries on there that don't need to be on there. We are more like we all humans instead of from this. Well, yes, actually, I'm for that as well. We're all citizens of the world. This is globalism talk, and this is the shit that terrifies conservatives. They think that when you and I say, we're all citizens of the world and we shouldn't have borders, that's you will eat the bugs and you will be happy. You know the meme. That's what they think this is. They think I don't know. I've had arguments with people from many different countries regarding whether it's important or not to preserve their country's culture when there is change incoming between like immigrants and social pressure and all of this. Corporate globalization is different to social globalization. Globalism, not globalization. I agree. But we shouldn't have corporate globalism. We should have social globalism. But to have social globalism, we need global socialism. That's kind of the kicker there. Can't have social globalism without global socialism. Because then it turns into something else otherwise. You know? We need to fix social problems step by step in our home countries and then try and spread them out there. And like that's why like I don't talk about communism to anybody. That's a goal that's so lofty that it's not worth talking about. It's not even, you can't even picture it. But socialism is doable. We can not, fully nationalizing all state industry, but slowly working towards that goal feels much more possible, especially because we now have, people like Bernie Sanders have popularized it. There's Tim Walz. I wish everyone took the Aussie mantra of don't be a cunt and we'd all be chill. Yeah. Don't be a shit cunt, really. You shouldn't be a shit cunt, but you can be a mad cunt. And that's the difference. And to all of the Americans watching, that means don't be an asshole, but be cool. I think that's actually a great way to end the stream today. Well, at least the official part of the stream. I think I'm done with news coverage. If you want to sit here and watch me play RuneScape, you can, because that's what I'm going to do next. I think. If I can manage to set up game capture. No, I took the filter off. I took it off. There's no more filter. You can say anything you want in my chat. Just, don't be an asshole and don't slur people, because then I will ban you. But there is no bot anymore. I got rid of it entirely. It kept bothering me. Where is game capture? Ah, here we go. You should just talk to other chatters. You don't have to mess with chatters. It's just, Well, yeah, I get that. You gotta be nice to people. Oh, hold on. Whoopsie. Did we go to the wrong thing? Alright, while this loads up, I'm going to this here. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then I'll be back, and we'll play a game. Really, I had a better idea. That's about the worst I'll do to streamers. Just for lols. My new meta is telling small streamers I'm here from a big streamer, because then they mention them harmless lols. Yeah, no, that's fine. It's cool. That's just like being part of the community, you chat and whatnot. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to end this stream and then I'm gonna relaunch it on Twitch only. So if you want to watch me play RuneScape, just refresh the